Hey guys, welcome to LG Overdrive. This is episode 8. This is the end of season show, also going into the playoffs. I am the host, Da Young Buck. With us today we have Bristol Lynett.
What's up, everybody?
Also with us we have, I'm Fourth Line Worthy.
Just kidding. Hi.
Hey, you actually wore your shirt this week.
You like my shirt? Thanks, Brody.
You got there.
And last but not least, we have Notorious Fat.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Notorious, did you, cut some of the fabric off your shirt and send it to Fourth Line?
I should. So you can make like a fucking surgical mask out of it and quit spreading SARS all over the place. I don't know what the fuck he's got. Doesn't sound good, though.
So now that the season's over, boys, we're going right into the playoffs here. Congratulations to all the teams that actually made playoffs. And it sucks to suck for teams who actually didn't make the playoffs. So teams Tucson, Bakersfield were into the playoffs. But teams like Manitoba, who won the President's Trophy, and Utica, you guys are the playoffs. So congratulations to you guys.
Thanks,
We're
Bach.
very proud of you. So we're actually going to send it over to Fourth Line, who's going to do a breakdown of our two Eastern Atlantic series.
Yes. So for the Atlantic, you have your first round matchups of Lehigh and Providence, and I actually like how it works out for this this bracket because you got two teams that pretty much one blew up because of their owner, and the other one blew up because, well, they deserve to get blown up because you second tag, you get fucked, kind of. So, but it's actually going to be an interesting series because I don't think either team has a top line. I think Lehigh has got the leverage as long as that Monster 95 will show up. Their series this season is 2-2, but the Flyers line played two of those games, and like I said, they're no longer existent. So that's going to play a huge factor in that game. And then if you go more into the statistics part of it, you can see that Providence does have an edge on them for like time on attack differences and whatnot. But again, I know that Hutch line played a huge factor in that part of it. So I think I put Lehigh in 6 in my voting, or 5 maybe. I'm gonna stick with that because at the end of the day, you look at Providence and Lehigh, and it's like no star players, but you have Darcy, and he'll steal the games that he's in. So, and I don't think Providence has anybody to do that for them. Now on to my next one, which is I think it's going to be the best matchup in the first round, if not one of the better series matchups through the whole playoffs. Not like maybe what people want to see, because I know there's certain series that other teams want to see play out, but it's definitely, I think, going to be the closest looking at it wise. But I think I also voted Hershey in 6. Season series wasn't close. It was Hershey, and my issue here is they lost Hilly. I don't know if that was their game 7 line or the top line. I imagine he's their top line,
Yes.
which is top line left wing gone. You still have Fox, but you still lost someone you can't replace. I don't know much about that, but I also know when you look at their matchup, I think every single line for Hershey's played, and only 2 lines have played for Providence, and Hershey's played with both their goalies and actually an ECU. And they've only used scopes every time, and it's still a 3-1 series for Hershey. But it's going to be close because their time on attacks head-to-head in all their matchups and seasons for the whole 82 games, they're right beside each other for average time on attack difference and the time on attack differential. Shots are the same, face-off percentage are the same. But the depth, I think we talked about that last night as well. The depth that Hershey's got is going to be hard to beat. So I got them in 6, I think. I had him in 7, but with Hilly gone, I think I put him in 6.
All right. Not bad. Good breakdown there. I'll send it over to Notorious, who's got the Eastern North Division.
Yes, I do. So over there in the Eastern North, finishing first overall was the Laval Rocket. They'll be facing off against the Rochester Americans, who finished 4th. Laval had 110 points in the season versus Rochester's 96, so not that too big a difference. The one big differential stat here is the plus-minus for goal differential. Laval had in plus 87 in goal differential, which is pretty nice, whereas the Rochester had 0. to break it down a little bit, Lorenzo and Breezy are a very formidable duo up front, and they have great chemistry. They scored 84 of the Rockets' 291 goals this season. That's 28.8% of all team scoring. So that's a pretty big chunk for just two guys. They're a bit top-heavy with just that kind of scoring. So where does the secondary scoring come from? It's probably going to come from Johnny, 97, and Kelly X, 94. Each of those guys had 66 points this season. I think they'll do what they can, but after them, there's a pretty big drop-off. So, this could be a line series where, Lorenzo and Breezy come out, pretty much a sure win, and then you don't know second and third line, right? So we'll have to watch that. Rochester is not nearly as powerful a team up front, with just really Nazi cracking the 70-point plateau this year for the Americans. But they do sport a much more balanced scoring punch throughout their lineup. None of the lines are particularly scary for Laval's top line, like I mentioned, but they are the kind of team that could steal games with their second and third lines in that kind of a matchup. So matchups will be very important. Back end also favors Laval, I feel, with Motomizer, Grocery Stick, and Provorov holding court. Time on attack will be a rare commodity for Rochester. So when they're in there, they got to make the best of it and get some goals because they're not going to keep it in there very long. Finally, comparing the goalies, we say our old pal there, PHJ 314, who had a magical run last season with Risto and the Tucson Roadrunners. That went bad this year. So they went all the way to the Calder Cup finals, losing against this very same Rochester Americans team. Obviously, players are different. Unfortunately for him, I think he's up against a guy in the name of POTUS, who's strong, and that Laval D-Corps is also really strong. So I think maybe there's no Cinderella story this year, and that dream ends early for Rochester. So I'm going to take Laval in 5 in that series. Moving on to the other series, it's the number 2 versus number 3 game. That's Utica Comets in number 2 and Binghamton Devils at number 3. Again, very close series, 99 points for Utica, 97 for the Devils on the season. Goal differential, again, very similar. Utica plus 38, Devils 54. So both teams are being so close in proximity and points. It becomes difficult to find a difference between the two, and you need to dig a little bit deeper. So you got to really get into the stats. Not a stat people really talk too often about is faceoffs. It's going to be really important in this series. Controlling the dot means you control the puck. Controlling the puck means you can get the puck to your heavy hitters like Mackey and McDonald, and then often that's all you need because those guys are pretty good together. Not to be outdone are the Devils. They counter Utica with a 1-2 punch of their own. Heavyweight Sanctify and Pizza Romo, who finished the season number 4 and number 6 respectively in league scoring. You go to the defensive side, you got Howie Do. He had a resurgent season after a couple of sort of off seasons. So he's looking more like the Howie Do people know. ATS and CM Black Magic also bolster the back end, moving the puck up to the potent scoring of Binghamton. Keep an eye on the AGM Ristolainen, who is with us here, and Sergeant Stecci, who put up some serious numbers this year from the point in Utica. If we're talking goalies, I'm seeing goalies as a stalemate. Riva, and my name is Ricky, had pretty good seasons and nearly identical records. It may come down to the backups and who will factor into this series. So I feel this is where Utica kind of gets the edge. With Herring the Fish, although he's only had limited time this year playing, he's a good Winnipeg boy, and you can't go wrong with a good Winnipeg boy. So I'm going to go with Utica in 6 games for this series.
Fair enough.
Sorry, can I just note that Nazi guy? Just wanted to say, 70 points, most takeaways as a forward, 0 PIMs all season. Impressive. That's impressive. Not a single penalty minute, man. And he said 70 points.
Yeah.
How do you do that? How do you do that?
And he's a manager.
But seriously, how do you do that in a video game? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Not one.
Right bumpers
all broken. Yeah, his RB must be broken.
I did the A button apparently too. All right, we're going to move on to the Central. I have the Central. Going to be talking about our first matchup. We have the Manitoba Moose fourth lines team versus the Iowa Wild fourth place team there. The season series was taken by Manitoba. Manitoba won that 4-0, outscoring them 18-5 by scores of 3-1, 7-1, 4-1, and 4-2. Manitoba actually used their backup goalie in 3 of those games. Sedin had 3 starts and posted actually some fairly phenomenal numbers, putting up a 1.16 GAA and 84.6 save percentage. And Peterson himself also went 1-0 with a 1 GAA and 87.5 save percentage. When it comes to Iowa's goaltending, their GM Murray played all 4 games, got lit up in all 4 of them for 18 goals in 4 games, for 4 goals against average and a 71.4 save percentage. So not the greatest there. If you look at time on attack throughout the season series, and this is going to carry right over to the playoffs, it was heavily favored in the Manitoba zone. Always playing. Manitoba's going to control the puck here. I know fourth line himself, very strong line. They'll average 8 to 10 minutes a game on time on attack to the other team's like 2 to 4 max. So that's going to be a huge factor. Um, Also, I said goaltending. Manitoba's goaltenders haven't really faced much of a challenge so far this season because they do have such a strong back end on that top team. It'll be interesting to see how they proceed in playoffs because of the fact that it is a whole new ball game, and Iowa might come out with some fire here. But looking at it, the way the season series has gone, and the way just the lineups have placed, and I know I know how fourth line is very picky with how he sets up his lines for playoffs, and how he's very dedicated to it. Um, I don't see Iowa getting very far in this series, and if they do, it'll have to be against against the Manitoba third line. Which, correct me if I'm wrong, fourth line. That's the Lions line, correct? That's your third.
I split the Lions line up.
Okay.
It was just weird that somebody did a write up. I think it was Bryson. If I was going to switch to depth, I didn't do it for that reason. Not explaining anything, but they're off the line. Sawson's up with Gilbsy and Rectify, and Lions is down there.
Okay, so the Lions line is now the third line. So
Because Lions line is Reimers, Mudd, and Giroux.
Okay. So again, they have to steal a game against that line if they were to get anything. Otherwise, I believe Manitoba's got this in 5. So I'll give Iowa that one steal, just benefit of the doubt. I think they can pull one out there, but I think Manitoba's got that one in 5. Moving on to our second series, our second versus third seed, we have the second seeded is it Cleveland? I don't even know. I don't even care. Cleveland Monsters. They're 2-3. They're so close, anyways. So season series going over to Cleveland here. They won the season series 3-1, outscoring the Eagles 12-10 in that series. Very low scoring season series for 4 games. Scores being 2-1, 2-1, 6-5, and 3-2. So again, all 1-goal games on top of that, which is kind of phenomenal in itself. But looking at the statistics, the shots were there was a 1-shot differential. Hits were close. The time on attack there was like 40 seconds difference. Very low amounts of penalties. The face-offs were even, and lots of players from both teams actually played. I think the entire Cleveland roster had a chance at it. So looking at it again, you go back to your goaltending depth with RBK, who is the GM who played 54 games, as Notorious has said earlier this season, and earlier this week in just one of his articles. Taking on a bulk of the load here this season. Not having the greatest numbers, he just had under 80 save percentage on the season, but having a player like that to be able to back you up and post some numbers will already help Cleveland, despite how strong their depth is. So if they do ever have that chance where Colorado tries to take advantage, they know they have solid goaltending behind them. whether it's from RBK or if it's from Larsbone, who's their backup. But now that the Colorado team was blown up earlier in the season by their owner, causing Horty to quit and Potsy to take over, and Q Flex stepped up from the CHL and brought his brother King Manolis up, who's one of the defensemen on that team. And Wally Mack playing up there. I believe they can steal 1 or 2 games. They don't have as much depth as they used to because a lot of their top players got traded away. But Cleveland's goaltending isn't the strongest, but they do have more depth across the 3 lines. So if Colorado does want to win here, they would have to do a top line versus 3rd line matchup and have to do it when they're the home team because otherwise I don't see them getting far. I did pick Cleveland in 6th for this one. So now we're going to move on to the Western Pacific Division. I'm going to send that one over to Risto.
Alrighty, so we got started off with the Stockton Heat versus San Jose Barracuda Mate Lads team here. So I still don't know what the fuck that means, man. But we'll go with it anyways.
Ask Dunks, you got a t-shirt.
So yeah, I did see that shirt actually. So this series, season series matchup was split between them in the 4 games, and very surprising low-scoring games from both teams. 9 goals scored for San Jose in the 4 games and 8 for Stockton, respectively. There, so I expect this series to actually be quite a battle, depending on if the goalies show up. I think this will be a goalie series for sure, with Grandpa Puff there and his antics, and then you got the goaltender. I believe only one goalie actually played the entire season series. Yeah, Johansson and then Grandpa Puff. They played each other all 4 of those games, having 84 and 86 save percentage respectively. So pretty. I'm going to say this series in 7 to start that off, and then I'm going to give my explanation here. So if you look at it, the total shots 44-53, pretty even, and same with time attack with Stockton having the advantage by about 10 or so. But I don't think time attack is necessarily a clear factor in any series when you think about it. Like last season when Tucson played 4th lines team, we got dicked on time and attack. It was probably, I believe, like 2 or 3 of those games were like 10 to maybe 2 minutes time and attack, and so you just never know what that. It's all comes down to these goalies, and I'm going to say Stockton Heat in 7 games. Also, I could see that series actually heating up quite a bit in the shout box due to the fact that San Jose is so active in the shout box, not necessarily with the most shit talking ever, but they're definitely in there reading it. And then with Stockton being in there, and I haven't seen them as bad lately, but they definitely do get in the shout box and just talk some shit. So I think that series will get interesting in the shout box for sure. Maybe a couple mutes. Next, we're going to go on to my boy Stasny's team here with the Ontario Reign versus the San Diego Gulls, with Ontario taking that series 3-1 in the 4 games. I'm going to say Ontario in 5 to start off, and then we'll go with the explanation again here. Time and attack, 33 minutes to 17 in favor of Ontario. I know I just said how time and attack doesn't have a factor at all, but at the same time, the Gulls in the 4 games only scored 7 goals to Ontario's 15. So when they don't take advantage of their time and attack, they're going to be dusted in the series. You got to take advantage of that short amount of time and attack you get per game versus those lines, or nothing's going to happen at all. Looking quickly at the goaltenders, I don't believe it's going to be as big of a factor this series, with the fact of I think Ontario almost easily has an advantage on forward, especially with you got Stasny, KSP, all those guys from 4th lines team last season, average boy. And then they got Nikolai Zombie on right defense. I believe he was a CHL manager at TC, and he's a solid defenseman. I believe he was. I'll have to take a look at it in a little bit, but I'll have that later. Lazy only posting a 73% save percentage in that series with a 4 goals against average. Pretty rough there for playing all 4 games, and it's going to be definitely interesting to see how this series plays out. But we're going to go with Ontario in 5, like I said.
Keep in mind that Lazy's very absorbent. So
yeah, he's a paper towel.
So that's a good playoff recap, guys. There's a lot of series. Risto, were you in talks with anyone to possibly be doing any of the commentary for some series?
Yeah, Pivot talked to me, and I'm going to see how it goes. I got surgery coming up this upcoming Friday, so I don't know how much ability I'm going to have to do commentary. So I might just have to lay low for a while.
Fair enough. Ooh. All right. So we're going to move on to our next couple things before we end the night. We're going to send it back to Risto. He's got this week's Aid with Risto.
Alrighty, we're back at it again here. This week's Aid with Risto, we got a double whammy here. We're going to start it off with our boy Buck and his no management list adventures.
Oh, no.
So I didn't fully get the gist of it, but I do know that essentially I don't want to say throwing the game, but it wasn't a simulation is what you were saying?
So, to put it in perspective, is that in game 82 of the season, so the last game on Wednesday night, it was pre-planned that my team would run all enforcers, regardless of who we were playing, just to have some fun in the last, because we knew we were eliminated from playoffs, and we just wanted to have some fun with it. It turned out they were playing Stockton's top line, who had I'm Just a Squid and Mac, and they're top players basically, and the league feels that it was us throwing the game and that it's wrong on my part to be encouraging that type of behavior because it ruins the integrity of the league, since it's very unrealistic that a team goes out and runs 5 enforcers, and that as head of media and as a manager, I shouldn't be encouraging players to go out and have fun like that and doing stupid stuff like that, and how it looks really bad on my part. It looks bad for the league. That wasn't my intention. My intention was just to let out my boys to go out and have some fun with it because we were eliminated from the playoffs. The game didn't mean anything. Stockton was already clinched. Like I said, it was planned from the week before, so it didn't matter who we were going to play. We were going to do it anyways. I do feel that it was taken a little extreme, just for the sole fact that had it been Stockton who went all enforcers against us, nothing probably would have happened. Had we been playing Belleville or some other bottom team, probably nothing would have happened. So again, I think, and I've a lot of my players think it's kind of wrong that I'm being no management listed for it. I get where the league's coming from, but it kind of sucks at the same point because my point of view was at that point I saw it was their top line. It was I had 3 ECUs. My team nearly forfeit the game. We were at like 56, and I finally got ECU left wing to play left D. So I had 3 ECUs in that game, and my thought process was, you guys can go out there and try and get murdered 12-4. You'll probably be pissed off and not want to play, and you'll just leave the group chat, whatever. Or you could go out and have fun, and whatever the result is, the result is. It ended up being 12-4, but like we ended up with like 90 hits. I think the big problem was there was like 75 penalty minutes in that game from our team. At some points they were purposely taking penalties so they could get more hits. So,
The goalie was stacking his pads and doing windmills, and there was a stream, and the whole team was in the chat box. You can't try and say that the game's not being trolled when they're in the chat box.
Yeah, at that point I wasn't in the chat box. I was watching the stream though, and I was just having a blast watching the guys murder each other. But
Well, I know, I get
at that point the
I
game.
get your point, and at the end of the day, you can't control what they do and don't do on the ice.
Well, yeah, exactly.
That's your perspective. But from another perspective is people bitch about forfeiting games in the last week of the season because it ruins playoff races. Throwing games the way that was, it ruins the scoring race for some people. Squid got 15 points in 2 games, one of them against a team that nobody else got to play that week because they forfeited, because they went under their own time to gather 6 terrible ECUs to get Squid points. And they can say it wasn't for that, but anybody who knows he was in, and I'm pretty sure he was only in 1 game last night, and then he got scheduled for both so he could try to get scoring title.
But when it came to my team, he needed 23 points to.
I don't think he was gonna beat that. But being from number 8, and even if someone like Jared, like I said earlier before the show, Sanctify, who battled all week, all season to and never got to play an enforcer team or an all ECU team, we got hit with 2 forfeit wins that I could have won in training camp and got the worst ECUs. But I'm not gonna do that because I don't need to do that because I don't need to boost my confidence into lighting people up like that. But
that's really like right or wrong. It's an argument for another time.
right.
Yeah. So it sucks for me, but I mean, I get it. I'm gonna be no match for.
I think it's out of your control. That's what That's what I was kind of saying. Like you can't.
Like I encourage them to do it, but like it was up to them whether to do it or not. And at that point, once they pick it, I have no control of what they do on the ice.
Yeah, exactly. And you're not the only team to ever run enforcers last week, because Minnesota did in the NHL, and they lost 19-1.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to Risto.
Alrighty.
The double whammy.
Yeah, we got the double whammy here. The last one, we're going to finish it off with Hilly and the Wilkes-Barre Scranton Penguins. So I also don't know jack shit about this situation, but we're going to say it anyways.
That's what makes
it. So what I heard from the young buck here, because he knows everything in this league, I swear. Essentially, it was something with screenshots, and they were altered and then turned in, and then it was a joke.
Okay. Again, I can fill in a little more of the situation.
You know everything, Buck. You're a fucking genius.
Age is Risto.
I was talking to Hilly and I was talking to Painter. So what happened was Hilly was trying to get evidence that Draisaitl was second tagging in PSN as well as in Xbox. And so the way what he was doing, he was trying to show that to Painter, that I'm trying to get him to admit it to show Painter. So what he was doing was he was manipulating what was written on Discord by deleting his own messages, sending screenshots to Painter, but he was really, really drunk at that point, and he sent it as a joke, but never told Painter. So Painter went and sent it to the Boggs and submitted it for evidence, saying that this is what's going on, like there's tampering with evidence. But he didn't know at that point that it was a joke. So Painter got in a lot of shit because he submitted something that was a joke that looked really, really bad. That's where Hilly was caught tampering with evidence to try and get a player banned. That player did end up getting banned regardless in the NHL because like his whole team second tagged. RIP Florida. But yeah,
here's the moral of the story. Don't drink and text or you'll get AIDS with Risto. That's all there is to it.
Double whammy.
Yeah, you're gonna get the double whammy. Did Painter know it was a joke and he fucking still submitted it?
He found out about it afterwards, so he thought it was legit.
Normally, when someone's drunk and they're manipulating messages, though, you think they'd be able to tell. Like,
yeah, I don't
know. AIDS.
Not my circus, not my problem, right?
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to our next topic, Fourth Line can actually pitch in a bit here, is we're doing a new type of rundown on how we're going to present the awards this year. This actually came from mostly from Fourth Line and his idea. It came with a lot of arguing and bickering and much discussion from our parts for like a good week and a bit with him, Mackie, myself, Brody, and the rest of the Overdrive team here that had some comments but weren't as active in the argument because it's very dramatic and we're acting like we're 6-year-olds fighting over a ball at recess. But essentially what we're doing now is instead of the Overdrive team picking nominees for each of the awards based off criteria and then voting on those, we are opening it up more towards the community. So now what we're doing is we're doing it more like the NHL does. We're adding several other players. So we're doing the entire Overdrive team, which is 7, as well as the AHL Access team of 5, with the 3 thread writers of John, Zach Guy, and Fox to make 15, as well as 3 staff members of Brody, Pivot, and Zero, who have been the most active in the AHL this season, to nominate players, but these nominations are also their votes towards who they believe is best qualified via the criteria to win said awards. They'll be allowed to nominate up to 3 players. Okay, Evan, I'm moving it up to 3 now. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay, up to 3.
Smiling.
It's got like that unimpressed smirk going on. So there's the 18 of us, as well as I have 16 of playoff team GMs or AGMs just outside the playoffs. So you could have, I believe, that are out of the playoffs is like Karuch and a few others that are just lurking outside the spot, or that we believe, or GMs, AGMs that we believed had more insight on the league that will actually do this properly. So it's going to be a couple week process here, where right now I'm asking if these guys want to actually participate in it. I can tell you from my standpoint, I have two separate PMs going right now. One with all the media guys and the staff. One with the GMs. The GMs have literally all they've said is, "I agree, I'm going to do it. I'll be in, or whatever." And then you look at our media one, and there's literally 80 replies because there's a lot of drama going on. These guys can attest to it. Uh, if anyone wants to pitch in about how dramatic it's been.
I'm over it, so I've muted my phone. I don't want to hear about it anymore. I'm done.
Say my blowing up.
Your phone blew up?
I would just I just want to comment not about that because that doesn't need to come to the OG. But yeah, that was pretty. That's an AIDS with Bristow type segment. But
Next week.
Generally, like my feel for bringing it up was I think I brought it up pretty early in I think Mackie said like 18, 19 days ago. It was definitely during the regular season part. And the reason why I was bringing it up was because last year doing media really brought to my eyes that no one's really like at the end of the day appreciative like how much work we do into it. So I figured that instead of like us 7 or however many it was last year of like getting attacked for choosing the award winners, even though like I feel like we did pick the right ones for each award, people just say that we rig it. So I said bring the community because at the end of the day, you can bitch because there's always going to be people who bitch, but they can't bitch at us. They have no reason because it's not just us, it's a community. And then for the nominations, you're going to see a lot more people being nominated, so they'll get that recognition. But there should be that gap between who really deserves it and then the other people. That's my look at it.
Well, yeah.
This isn't like a thing where we're handing out participation awards though. Like nobody's getting a ribbon. Either you are the right person for the award. Like either you deserve to win it or you don't. And
right.
There's only 2 or 3 people in each category that really deserve to win it. Like there can be a lot of well wishing and there can be a lot of like, that guy was pretty good. Oh, if he wasn't in that bad a situation or whatever. But like those guys don't deserve to win. They're not the elite. They're not the best. See, like. That's all fodder. That's all just trash. We don't need that at the end. Not those guys are trash, but that stuff is shit. And you just need to cut all the fat out and let's just get to the meat and let's talk about the meat and let's vote on the meat. I like meat, but the rest of it is just it's noise and it's garbage. And I don't need to hear it anymore. Like I just don't want to hear about Joe Blow on whatever team. He had a great season, but. You know what? There's 10 other guys that had better seasons than him, so I don't even need to talk about him.
I think the most frustrating part for me at the moment is how us as an Overdrive team, we're in charge of the awards. And this is how we're deciding to do it. And like this is like official. This is decided. This is what we're doing. And it's the other media guys that are like writing threads mostly that are bitching about it and trying to get us to change it. And it's like, no, like this is decided. This is how we're doing it. If you wanted to, we're including you in the process. You should be happy that we are inviting you to do so because you shouldn't be expected to do it, and it should be like something nice that you get to do for the community. You know what I mean?
I like the idea of all the media. I like the idea of the Bogs and Brody being involved. I like that. The 18, that's to me where it needs to be. It doesn't need to be, this GM, that GM. I can do without. I understand it. I'm fine with it. But to me, 18 was enough. And if you can't get an unbiased opinion out of 18 guys, you got a bigger fucking problem. Like, we're all big boys. We're all mature enough.
That's what I mean. That's where you got to put the hate away. Bullshit in the chat box.
There's tons of guys I don't fucking like in this league.
Exactly.
You'll never hear from
away and
You'll never hear from me.
To represent that, just hypothetical standpoint, your best defenseman. You want that. At the end of the day, you're voting for somebody who you want to represent the best D-man in the AHL. Not because you don't like him or because you're buddies with somebody else, you got to give that nomination or that award because at the end of the day, that's what they are. You want them to be. That's your representation for the best D-man in the AHL.
Yeah.
Or
I love my guys on Tucson. Not a single fucking one of them deserves to get in the room. Okay, I love those guys. They were great. They were a lot of fun. Not a single fucking one deserves anything. We were the shits, right? So we're not to be considered. But if anyone thinks that we are biased and like we're that fucking petty, come on, give me a fucking break. I don't give a fuck about who you are or what you do. It's a stat related thing. Like I can look at your stats. I could tell were you playing the best teams? Do you have good stats? You don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist to figure that out. Come on, give me a break.
Wow, Notorious is getting mad.
It's fucking
Notorious mad.
Notorious tonight.
Not Notorious fat, it's Notorious mad.
Fuck, he's angry.
All right, moving into our final topic tonight. This was actually meant to be saved for the end, which is why we're doing it now. We're sending it over to Notorious for his final Life in the Cage.
Yeah, this will be the final Life in the Cage. For anyone who may have seen the little awards thing I did on Friday, I've decided I'm done with goaltending. It's not for me, obviously. I just can't get it done. I'm getting just worse as I get older. So we're gonna move on to something else. And with that ends the Life in the Cage articles and my weekly studs, duds, and cockhammer. With that being said, I'm moving into defense, I believe. And if I'm lucky enough to stay in the AHL or whatever and do that, I'm going to continue with an article, and I think it's going to be just about defensemen. So, yeah, I'm going to call it. I think I'll call it Bleeding Blue. I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see how that goes. So, with that, without further ado, let's get to the final Life in the Cage ever, possibly. And I'll start with my stud this week, and I'm going to keep it short because this is part of the thing that's got me fired up. Is this whole what happened this week? So, stud this week is going to be from the Binghamton Devils. Chronic J18 had a really nice week. He went 3-0, had a 1.00 goals against average, 88.9 save percent, and a shutout. I see the face you're making there, Buck, and I did the same thing. Like, who the fuck is Chronic J?
Yeah,
who the fuck?
Literally like that.
Hey, I don't know where they found him. I think he's been with them since week 6. So, and he's been doing pretty good. Under the radar for me, never noticed him. If I wasn't so, I guess, angry right now, I would have liked to have fleshed it a little more for you, Chronic J, but I'll say your name again. Chronic J18 had a great week. So I'm going to move past that. He got wins against Charlotte 9-1. He beat Rochester 3-0. That was the shutout. And Belleville a 7-2 win. So good for you. Good week. Take your stud award and keep it forever. Put it on the mantle or something. I don't know. It's the final one, though. So, hey, it's a collector's item. So I'm going to move on now to my my duds. And actually, I'm also going to do the cockhammer. This is the first time ever I'm doing both the dud and the cockhammer in the same time because it's the same person. Not much to say. The winner went 0-5 at a 7.0 goals against average, 64.3 save percent. Lost to Iowa 4-3, lost to Rockford 4-1, lost to San Diego 9-1, lost to Manitoba 11-1. Thanks, Evan. Fuck you. And Stockton 7-3. So
That's
I really have no words.
Notorious fat. He's got Evan, look.
Come on, we can't see him. We can't see his thing. He's not talking.
He says, I'm fucking horrible.
Terrible, I think.
I always mute it because I didn't want to make the background noise and switch the camera off when someone else was talking. And I have to turn it back on because usually I just interrupt.
You're making a broadcaster, Buck. We got to see this.
What's that? I can broadcast it, yeah.
There it is.
There it is. I'm fucking terrible. Notorious fat 0-0.
I hope the other side says AIDS with Rich, though, or I'll be sad.
I don't think it does. But I do know for a fact that he has a paper bag on his head still, so. We love you, Notorious. You are still one of our favorite goaltenders in the league, and you will probably always be.
He's gonna be your favorite defenseman next season.
We'll see.
Behind
Now he's
Grizz.
gonna have life on the blue line.
So, Notorious, now that you said that you are currently wearing it as you are the Week 9 dud and cockhammer, will you be sending out the paper bag to your other weekly duds?
I'm just waiting for those addresses, guys, and I'll roll it out to you. You can all have it for a week.
I would totally wear that proudly next week's show.
So ashamed. I'm so ashamed. I'm sorry, Tucson. I'm so sorry.
You gotta do what's best for your team sometimes and play all those tough games, especially the games against Manitoba and Evan.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck you, Evan.
Fuck Evan, man. That guy sucks.
It's okay, Notorious. My team also lost 11-1 against Evan, and I was also in that game. So fuck you, Evan.
That game was AIDS though.
Bro, fourth
So-
has shit on me in club so many times, but I can say we knocked him out last season.
Yeah, but did you play my line? Was it UND?
I think I did play you guys actually.
I don't think we only played one game. It was an overtime. And I'm pretty sure it was Johnny Cash.
I think I played Arskog's line, KSP's line, then I played you guys twice during the regular season.
All right.
So yeah, I guess.
Notorious, do you have anything else for Life in the Cage this week to end it?
No, I got nothing else to say. I'm fucking speechless.
Alrighty.
Sore.
Hold on, I'm gonna play something.
No comment.
Well, boys,
1 second.
without further ado, Risto's got something for us before we
Is it working?
Yeah. Did I just walk out now?
From where we began.
Are we not gonna be on the show like next week?
Without that, we'll see you next week. And
Damn, who knew? All the planes flew.